Hello, and welcome back to episode number 33. Welcome to Life.EV, a podcast that delves into exploring values. I am your host, Ajit Panicker, and I lead an air conditioning company, Nova, and Pureblu, a tech startup in the air conditioning domain. Every Saturday at 11 a.m., join us for conversations that go beyond business growth, focusing on the values that fuel it. Let's embark on a journey to uncover our true purpose and how we can grow by enriching our lives. Welcome to Life.EV, where we explore values in life and business. As always, I have with me Vivek Asrani. Hi, Vivek.
Hi Ajit, how are you doing today?
Absolutely good. Well, Vivek Asrani is the driving force behind Camo Fastener Company, a trailblazing company in the industrial fastener sector. What sets Vivek apart is his deep engagement with the exploration of values. For close to 4 years, he has dedicatedly penned his reflections on this topic every week. These insightful thoughts are accessible on his website, vivekasrani.com. Additionally, Vivek has authored the book One Day at a Time, Reflections from Times of Silence, which further delves into his journey and insights. This thought provoking read is available on Amazon or on his website, offering readers a chance to engage with his profound understanding and values and their role in both personal and professional lives. In episode number 33, we're delving into taking ourselves too seriously in life. Vivek, that's a nice topic here. Taking ourselves too seriously in life. Let's hear reflections on this.
Yeah, it's amazing how, as individuals, we carry this larger than life ego, with us, and it's it's amusing at times, annoying at times, and when I look at myself in the mirror and I can see that huge ego, often I laugh at myself, and sometimes I'm like angry at myself, right? And I think I'll tell you where this thought of this reflection came. I was watching one of those WhatsApp reels that came to me once, which started showing a particular part of the planet, and then the camera kind of zooms out. Okay, so suddenly from that playground you could see the city, and then it zoomed out, you could see the country, and then it zoomed out, and then you could see the whole earth, and then it zoomed out, and I think we've all seen that. And suddenly it was we are one planet, and before I knew it, it had zoomed out to a level where we were like just a speck or a dot, you know in the larger universe. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, this whole world is not even a speck in the universe. And in this world, I'm not even a speck of a speck as a person, right? And look at the ego and importance that I carry about myself. So that kind of made me laugh and made me write this reflection. So taking ourselves too seriously, Ajit, is nothing but a reflection and a manifestation of our ego, of that I factor in me, of I and I want. And I'm just going to read out a paragraph from my reflection, which kind of introduces this whole concept. It comes from our sense of ego and self importance, constantly seeking attention and having a need to be recognized and acknowledged for everything we do for others around us. It comes from always having expectations that our needs are more important and need to be met at any cost. We start taking people for granted. So it really comes from that deep seated need of my satisfying my ego, and that's why we take ourselves too seriously. The issue is, I mean, we all carry an ego. I mean, we know how important we are to ourselves. Issue is, what does it do to us? So, there are few things that we need to be mindful of as to why we don't need to take ourselves so seriously. One is we stop becoming good listeners because we are so obsessed with what we think, what we want, the way we believe things should be, that we're not listening to other people. And because we are so important to ourselves, other people around us stop becoming important to us to the same extent. And therefore, without realizing it, we, stop becoming good listeners. I don't know whether you've come across such people in life, Ajit, but very often I've interacted with people who are popular, famous, are doing exceedingly well in their careers, professions, whatever they're doing. And I've met them in a social context where, as friends, and I mean, not very close friends, but people we know socially. And with some of them, it's been very interesting. They are constantly through the evening talking about themselves. They don't take the trouble to take a step back and say, so how are things with you? What's going on in your business? And, what have you been doing? They're just constantly telling you about who they met, name dropping. Oh, they did this assignment for this one. And then when they were here with so and so, what happened and what so and so said. So you just become so full of yourself when you take yourself seriously. You stop becoming a good listener. Second is you become oversensitive. The smallest thing said to you becomes such a big issue. It's like throwing a stone in calm water. Suddenly there are ripples all over. That's the same thing that happens to us. Our inner peace gets shattered because someone threw a stone at us. And the funny thing of life is that we have no control over how many stones are going to be thrown at us. The only control we have is how peaceful can I keep my inner calm, notwithstanding what stones people will throw at me in terms of their comments. They were very nice to me one day, and suddenly I find a change of attitude, making a snide remark, saying something to make me look bad, or being very sarcastic. So we start becoming oversensitive when we open ourselves up, and we do that because we've taken ourselves too seriously. Third is we become impatient and intolerant. So if ever we find ourselves becoming short with people, impatient, intolerant, why didn't it happen when I said it should happen? Why are we taking so long? What's the, it's a sign that, listen, I'm taking myself so seriously that I'm not taking a step back to assess the situation and give people the time and space sometimes when they need it. It doesn't mean that we allow people to slack off. It doesn't mean that we allow inefficiency. It does not mean that we don't hold people accountable. But it doesn't mean that we become so important that, listen, I can't be waiting for a minute. Why are people making me wait? Those kind of things, when we sometimes say it, is not only ego, but it's huge amount of intolerance and impatience. The fourth aspect, which we don't realize, is that we find this constant need to assert our power on people around us, where we are in a position of dominance because we think we're important. What we're doing is important, and you don't realize that by making me do this, uh, what you've kind of taken away from and how important I am and the kind of things I should be doing. And as business leaders, sometimes, Ajit, we fall into this trap of saying, I'm up there, some people are down there, and they don't realize what's going on up there. And that again is part ego and just taking ourselves just too seriously in life. Fourth, the fifth thing is, in that paradigm, we're constantly seeking approvals from others. Because I've taken myself so seriously, my sense of security, happiness, and joy is no longer coming from my within. It's coming from people's approvals around me. Till I get the approval, I'm on a high. The moment that stops or there's criticism, like a pendulum, I'll swing to the other extreme. So approval from others becomes extremely important for us. Also, when we take ourselves too seriously, what we don't realize is we start becoming arrogant in our prosperity, and we start losing our balance in challenges, because our entire being is that, how can I make a mistake? How can I be a failure? How can I fall from this pedestal I've put myself on, because I have taken myself so seriously in life? So it's really amusing at one level, but this is the reality, and I've been through it as an individual, I'll be honest with you. Learned many lessons the hard way along, right from school and then college and through business. which is why when I saw that, I was able to write this reflection.
Awesome. But tell me something. This realization that I'm not taking myself too seriously. How does it impact? Just the fact that you realize it. How does it change the perspective or a behavior for you when it comes to both personal and professional? That what's the big change that happens? Just that you have that realization that I'm not. Don't give me too much importance. I'm not. Don't take me
Yeah,
too serious.
yeah, yeah. So for me, I can only share with you my own experience. For me, at the end of several experiences, I would sit back and I would say, a what is in my control? Really nothing. I think I do things, but the fact is that yes, I contribute to it, but it gets done because of my effort and a whole lot of circumstances around me. So for me, that was when the penny dropped to say that, listen, I think that I'm the doer of this. I'm not. I'm just one of the various actors in this big drama that's playing out. So that gave me a perspective. And what did that do? So, one, I think it develops a greater sense of humor. We are able to laugh at ourselves. I think the day we are able to laugh at ourselves, uh, we have stopped taking ourselves too seriously. Second is when we are able to laugh at life. When things go right, we laugh and say, I don't know why this is happening to me. I don't know what I did to deserve this. And things, when they go wrong and goes to the other extreme, you laugh and say, okay, now this drama is playing out in my life. Chalo, let's see where this takes me. Because you're like, look, there is a director who's writing a script, okay, and I have to just keep playing my part. So then I'm not taking myself too seriously, but I'm in that constant mood of a little bit of humor and of course a lot of focus. The second thing that it does after humor, it builds a lot of faith, because then you're like, let me move away from arrogance and ego of I to the fact that there are universal laws and principles of life. If I align to them, things will play out. If I break the laws of life, I will get hurt. So it's not, I did it. Well, yes, I did my best. And a lot of things conspired to help me achieve it. To put it in a very simplistic manner, it's like, the law of gravity. You throw something up, it's going to come down because the physical law of gravity is something we've all understood and accepted. So similarly, there are laws of life which we need to understand. So the understanding and acceptance of the laws of life, that's the second thing that happens. And the third thing that happens, Ajit, and I think for me personally, which has been the most important, even though I still continue making my mistakes and I'm still as vulnerable, I must be honest with you on this, is it gives a perspective. That, boss, what am I getting so agitated about? And what is this self importance all about? And I keep reminding myself, just zoom out. I am one out of 7 or 8 billion people. And these 8 billion people are on one planet out of thousands of these, okay, planets and stars in the universe. So I'm not even a speck of a speck of a speck. So it gives me a perspective. That's what happens. Humor, faith, and perspective.
So let me just take this to a work context. Running a business and leading an enterprise. Now, you really want to actually not take yourself too seriously, but how do you make sure that the other people whom you're talking to take you seriously when you want to? That is, how do you draw a balance between being responsible and not taking yourself too seriously? Have you come across a situation like this?
Yeah, I think as business leaders, it's very important that we're able to get the respect from our people, from our teams. But that comes when we also are willing to give respect. When it's a one way expectation, then it becomes feeding my ego, feeding my position, my power. So I'll get the respect till my position is there. The moment I'm out of that position or that person is no longer working in our team, then that will completely go away. So I think it starts with understanding that every human is equally worthy of our respect. Responsibilities may be different. Okay, that's one. Second is anchoring ourselves with the fundamental principle, Ajit, of what is right and not who is right. The moment in a discussion, it's like I am saying it, therefore it's right, is when I've lost the battle. I may have won that argument because, well, I'm the boss, it's my company. So what I say is right. I may finally say that, okay, having heard everybody, I still feel we need to go in one direction. And yes, as it being my company and as the owner of the company, I will take responsibility of the consequences. That is different. But to say in an argument, no, no, you can't argue with me. How can you argue with me? It's my company. I know what I'm saying. I know what is right for this company. So when we anchor ourselves to not who is right, but what is right, it kind of makes all the difference. I know in the initial years of the business, I came from a very strong, I was very critical of people's opinions and thoughts. Of if people made a mistake, I would say I was oversensitive when somebody pointed out my mistakes, and I made many, many more mistakes than lots of people around me did. And I'm not saying this in a false way, way. I actually did, and I found that I was running the meetings in a very, if I may call it, command and control kind of a way for several years. I don't know when the shift happened, but I know that it has happened. And at some point, I kind of eased up. I said something is not right. So a lot more humor, being a lot more relaxed when people made mistakes, but having a discussion rather than being immediately critical around it. uh, I didn't have to constantly show that I was the boss in the room. It's a small company, I'm the owner of the company, so there's no price for guessing who's responsible over there. But one change I brought about, and I was reminded of the King Arthur's round table, where even though he was the king, all the knights sat on a round table because then there was a sense of equality. So really started having discussions internally where there was a sense of equality and everybody's opinions were heard. And a lot of things I started feeling more comfortable in saying, you know what, you're right, and I stand corrected on this. And saying things like, now that you've said this, and now I'm thinking on what we discussed the other day, I think I'm going to change my opinion on this. And at the same time, feeling comfortable in saying, no, I've heard everything, but I think I still feel maybe we should continue with this. Let's see where this takes us. So even tough conversations became conversations and discussions, and I didn't find the need, I don't now find the need so often to assert myself from a power, from a position standpoint, but more a human to human discussion, and that's really helped me.
Amazing. When you're talking about this, I want to share something that I kind
Mm,
of experienced. So we had a problem. Typically, a growth-related problem where inefficiencies creeped in, and there was this little summer season where things did go
mm,
wrong. So typical of me, I said, okay. After that goes out, I collected all the data individually, one by one, and I started calling for these small groups of meeting. And it was a clear intent. Serious stuff. You screwed up, and this is how you screwed up. All right. And that's how we went about the meeting. That's how I prepared for it. So one group happened. I pointed out. I said, "This is that needs to be fixed. That needs to be fixed." The second group came in. They had already got the message that this is how the meeting is going to go. Okay. So everyone comes with a very serious face. And I just realized that like these guys are all mentally prepared now to say that this guy is going to point out mistakes and he's going to screw it up. So I said, okay, let's tackle it very differently. I did not play around on the data. I just made it light. We had humor going around, and you'll be surprised. At the end of the meeting, the conversation turned from saying that, Chief, we actually screwed up, but, let's try these things so that we don't screw up again. And I said,
mm,
yeah, that's what I want. And I
mm,
said, that's more participative than me trying to tell you where you screwed up and you shouldn't be doing it. And, sometimes you don't take these things seriously and just keep the humor going. People,
yeah.
majority of them are good, they understand and they want to contribute. And that also brings to a very big question, in your day-to-day behavior, in a day-to-day, how much is humor an important factor into not taking yourself seriously?
Well, I'll just say that in one sentence, Ajit. Humor is serious business.
Yeah.
It has been for me one of the most effective things in getting my message across, in just kind of dialing down tensions, in easing the situation in a conversation, in building relationships with people, in opening doors for myself, and in just getting a message across, which I mean, I could have done the same in a very serious manner, but just in a lighter way, but very focused and sharpened, but using the humor. So I think humor is serious business.
Awesome. Well, on that note, keep laughing, try to get funny, and that's what is what the big takeaway is, that don't give yourself too much of seriousness. Well, that's a lot of discussion that we've had today for our episode, and that's the time that we have for today. We'd love to hear from you. Join the dialogue, our social media platforms. Share the questions, your learnings, and insights you've gained from this episode. It's through these shared experiences and perspectives that we all grow and learn. So don't hesitate to reach out and contribute to this ongoing conversations. That's it for today. Join us next week for another enriching episode of Life.EV, where we continue our exploration into the fascinating world of exploring values in our life. And we would request you not to keep these ideas with yourself. Share this episode with your friends, with your family, and get a conversation going. See you next week on Saturday at 11 a.m. with another episode on life exploring values. Vivek, thank you very much as usual. Every week, fun chatting up with you.
Fun chatting, Ajit. Likewise. Take care. Bye.
Bye bye.